Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports with another football video, and today I'm talking about my 2021 NFL final record predictions. This video is all about what I think each team's final record will be at the end of the NFL season. I'm going to go through all 32 teams, and I do have the correct number of games. I have the correct number of games for each team playing 17 games. So, although this might not be 100% possible based off of different teams' schedules, there are the correct number of games here. So, I'm not adding or subtracting any extra games. So, this is technically a possible situation for the final standings. So, yeah, we're getting close to 900 subscribers. So, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the video. And let's get into it. First off, we have Texans and Jaguars at 1-16. Currently, the only game between these two, the Texans beat the Jaguars. I think that the Jaguars will beat the Texans in their second matchup, and those will be the only wins for either of these teams the entire season. The reason why I think the Jaguars will beat the Texans in matchup 2 is because the Texans now have Davis Mills at quarterback instead of Tyrod Taylor, who beat the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1, and I think that Trevor Lawrence will pull out the win over Davis Mills. Neither of these teams have showed any promise for any potential to win games. The Jaguars played well against the Bengals last week, but they still blew it. And I just don't see either of these teams winning games anytime soon. At 2-15, we have the Lions and the Jets. The Jets have a win against Tennessee. The Lions have no wins right now. I know Jared Goff is on a terrible team, but I think that he'll still come out with 2 or 3 wins. I think that the maximum for either of these teams is 4 wins, though. I can't see either of these teams getting 4 wins, especially with the Lions' schedule. The Jets might be able to win 3 or 4, especially after that win against Tennessee, but I just don't see it. The way that Zach Wilson's playing and the way that their team is structured and their coaching and everything. At 3-14, we have the Falcons and the Giants. I have the Giants and the Falcons both at 3-14. They both currently have 1 win. The Falcons beat the Giants, and the Giants beat the Saints. There's potential for these two teams, as I usually say about the Falcons, and then they never do anything anyways, so I just don't think it's worth saying anymore, but these two teams do have potential. I think that one of them could potentially win a few games, but especially because the Giants are in the NFC least, and some other of their division rivals are in the lower half of my rankings of my brackets, but I still don't see either of these teams winning more than 5 games. Neither of them have impressive offenses or defenses, and yeah, not much else to be said. At 4-13, we have the Eagles and the Dolphins. The Dolphins' only win so far was week 1 against the Patriots, and the Eagles' only win so far was week 1 against the Falcons. The Eagles haven't looked good since week 1. They've played some close games, and Miami played a close game against the Raiders, but they've also both played terrible games. The Eagles losing 41-21 against Dallas, and the Miami Dolphins losing 35-0 against Buffalo. These two teams both have looked very bad this season, and I don't expect them to win too many games. The reason why they're at 4-13 is because of their divisions and who they're playing against. At 5-12, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have the Steelers having their first losing season in over 17 years. The Steelers are 1-3 right now, their only win being week 1 against Buffalo. A lot of these 1-3 teams, their only win came week 1 against the team that is clearly better than them. So I think that the Steelers are going to have an okay season. I think that they're going to play a lot of really close games. But, like, last week's game against the Packers just looked terrible. Like, the Steelers' offense is just not on track. Their defense is not as dominant as it was last year, and the Steelers just aren't looking good right now. They're also in a tough division, and they're playing the entire NFC North. And they're playing, I believe, the AFC West, which is the toughest division in the AFC. So they have a really hard schedule ahead of them, and I don't see them winning a lot of games with that. At 6-11, I have the Washington football team and the Chicago Bears. Washington and the Bears are both 2-2 right now. They've both had fairly easy schedules so far, but the Bears were able to beat Cincinnati, which was a somewhat impressive win against a team that's otherwise 3-0. But yeah, both of these teams have had okay seasons so far, but I don't see them winning a whole lot of games. Washington is in the NFC least, so they get to play the Eagles and the Giants. I think that they'll get some more wins from there, but overall, I just don't see either of these teams winning a whole lot of games. Washington has to play the NFC South, which includes Tampa, the Saints, the Panthers. It does include the Falcons, so that would probably be a win for Washington. But the Bears need to play the NFC North, the AFC North, which is a very tough division. The AFC North having the Ravens, the Bengals, who they already played, and the Browns. The Ravens and Browns could be trouble for them, as well as Minnesota and Pittsburgh and Green Bay in their own division. So I think that these teams could win anywhere up to 9 games, but I think that 6 or 7 is probably where they're most likely trending right now. At 7-10, I have the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. Both of these teams are currently 1-3. They are not the highest 1-3 teams on this list, though. I do have one 1-3 team higher. The Patriots have lost a few games that they shouldn't have. I think that for the rest of the season, they'll beat Miami. They'll beat the Jets. We play the AFC South, which includes the Texans and the Jaguars. The Patriots and Colts will be playing each other. I think that the Patriots might win that matchup. That'll be a very close game. I think the Patriots might have the edge in that matchup, but it's going to be a toss-up. As for Indianapolis, they play the Texans twice. They play the Jaguars twice. They're playing the AFC East, which includes the Dolphins and the Jets. I think that both of these teams are going to have higher records than they should because of their schedules, but the Colts have had a tough schedule so far, and they've won their only game that they really should have won, which was against Miami. So I can see the Colts being up to 8-9, or maybe even 9-8, depending on how their season goes. And at 8-9, we have Minnesota, the highest 1-3 team. Minnesota has had a tough schedule so far this year, and they beat Seattle 30-17. Their offense has been playing really good football. Their defense has been playing okay in some games. They played a 7-point game against the Browns this week that I thought that they had a chance of winning. Minnesota's playing good football. They ended 7-9 last year, which was what I thought that they're going to end around for most of the season. And I think that 8-9 is a pretty accurate assumption of where they might end up. At 9-8, we have the Saints and the Broncos. The Saints have had a really weird up and down season. They seem to win half of their games indiscriminately on who they're playing. They could be playing the easiest team in the league, like the New York Giants, or they could be playing a really, really tough team like the Green Bay Packers and completely blow them out of the water, and it does not matter. They're just going to either do really good or really bad depending on the day. And I think that that's going to continue for the rest of the year, and they'll end up somewhere around 500. As for the Broncos, they had a really easy start to the season. They just played their first tough opponent and lost. They're in one of the hardest divisions in football. I think that they are going to quickly drop from their 3-1 record. At 10-7, we have Seattle, we have the 49ers, and we have the Bengals. All three of these teams will be losing their division at 10-7, surprisingly enough. Seahawks and 49ers are both 2-2. The Bengals won't be losing their division. Steelers are below them. But Seattle and 49ers are both 2-2. The Bengals are 3-1. The Bengals have had a pretty good season so far. So have Seattle and the 49ers have had very up and down seasons. Seattle losing weird games like the one against the Vikings, but they also beat the 49ers, who are accreditably a good team. The 49ers' only losses are to Seattle and to the Green Bay Packers, who they lost to by 3. So I think that all of these teams have potential to win up to 12 games, but I don't see any of them really winning their division. I think that they're in tough enough. I think that they are 11 or 12 win teams in any other divisions, but in their specific divisions, they have become 10 win teams because of the sheer difficulty of their opponents. 11-6, we have the Panthers, the Titans, the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Cleveland Browns. 5 teams at 11-6 right now. And there's a wide variety of seasons that have gone on, that have transpired in this category. We have the Panthers and Raiders, who were both previously 3-0, now 3-1. We have the Browns, who are now 3-1 as well after winning this week, and we have the Chiefs and the Titans, who are both 2-2. The Chiefs winning after being 1-2, and the Titans losing after being 2-1. I think that Tennessee is the worst team out of these 5. Tennessee and Carolina are probably about tied, but I think Tennessee is the worst team currently out of these 5. But they're going to end up with the same record as the Chiefs just because the Titans have a very easy schedule and the Chiefs have a very hard schedule. The Chiefs and the Raiders are in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, so they're going to be slugging it out with the Chargers and the Broncos for the number 1 spot. And because of that, Kansas City's record and the Raiders' record are both going to be brought down to 11-6. Carolina, I think, had a really strong start to the season. I think they're going to continue to have a good season. I just don't see them being a 12 or 13 win team right now. They had their first real test this week, and they lost to the Cowboys 36-28, sorry. And the Browns, I think, have a really strong team. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. I think that they'll end up with a similar record to last year. I think last year they were 11-5. This year I have them at 11-6, mostly because they have a tough schedule. And at 12-5, we have the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Chargers. The Cowboys have the easiest schedule of these 4 teams, so I think that they could potentially even win 13 games. Green Bay is in the easiest division between them, the Ravens, and the Chargers. I think that the Chargers are arguably the best team in this category. The Chargers and the Cowboys right now are arguably better. The reason why the Chargers are in the same category, the same record as the Packers, is because, again, their division is just going to murder each other. All these teams are really strong. They're all Super Bowl contenders right now. And I think that indiscriminate of their schedule, they will all have over 10 wins, and they'll all be in the playoffs. It just depends on what seeding they'll end up with. At 13-4, we have the Rams and the Buccaneers. The Bucs have one of the easiest schedules in the entire league. So even though they already have 1 loss, I think that they're going to continue to win games and be 13-4, potentially 14-3, or 15-2, just because of how easy their schedule is. As for the Rams, they have a much tougher schedule. They already have a loss under their belt, and I think that they're going to continue to have some struggles throughout the season with keeping in the race for first place just because of their division. But I think that they'll still end up at the 5th seed in the NFC. And at 14-3, we have the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills. These were the 2 teams I had in my NFL Elite in my Power Rankings video this past week. They're the 2 best teams in the league, in my opinion, right now. The Bills have a much easier schedule than the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals are a better overall team. I think the Cardinals will build their schedule well. They'll probably lose 3 games within their division, and that is what I think their 3 losses will come to. Buffalo's 3 losses, I really don't know where they're going to come from. They might lose a game to the Patriots. I see it unlikely, but it's possible. They might lose a game to Kansas City or the Titans, or they have some tough games. They have the entire NFC South, which includes the Panthers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. So they have a lot of tough games to play, but I think that they'll end up with a pretty decent record at the end of it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, we're trying to hit 900. We're only 15 away, so that would be fantastic if we could reach that by the end of the week. And I'll see you guys on the next one.